Have you ever felt that there was a mutual distrust between law enforcement and the community? Or have you ever thought, why is there constantly a fight between us? Or better yet, is the relationship repairable at all? Well, I'm going to answer some of those questions in this next Undercover Conversation. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Human Side with yours truly, Officer Jill. And today we are having another undercover conversation. What are undercover conversations, Officer Jill? So that is when I go out completely off duty, no badge, no uniform, and no gun. Psych, just kidding. I always got a gun. Your girl stay ready, just so you know. Don't try me. But I go out completely quote unquote normal and I engage in conversations with you, total strangers, for the purpose of one, creating an opportunity for us to experience each other in our human side with no barriers of a uniform or a gun or authority. Also, to create an opportunity for us as officers to maybe learn something or learn new ways that we can interact with you to make the relationship better. And to put that on this platform so that we can all learn and hopefully improve this relationship that has been struggling for a minute, y'all. So I had a great conversation with this man and I want to share it with you all. Come on. What do you think the relationship is like with law enforcement and the community now?
I would think, depending on which community you're in the community I grew up in, there is a mutual distrust test.
Mutual distrust.
Yes.
That's key right there.
Yeah.
Like me, there are things we need to be better at, and there's things that the community needs to be accountable and be better at, right? And you said that perfectly, mutual distrust. So how do we fix that mutual distrust? What do you think? How do we fix it?
I think the way to fix it is to look at what needs to be fixed. Mm-hmm. I don't really think what needs to be fixed is anything. I think what needs to be done is to create a way to support people who want to do good and do better. Okay. I think if we have opportunities for people to do the right thing so that they can be rewarded and grow, because we're not the only people get rewarded and grow from doing not the right thing.
Yeah. Give me an example.
I don't know.
You don't know exactly.
I don't know example yet because
okay.
We're talking off the top of the head.
Right.
I
understand.
Given it a lot of forethought.
Okay.
Yet at the same time, for example.
Okay, let's pause for just a quick second. Did you guys catch what he said in the beginning? He said there is a mutual distrust. Now, I tend to agree with him on that one. I'm going to break down why I think that is, right? So I think that the community has a distrust. I think for some of the obvious reasons that we know of. One is past incidents, right? Someone recently sent me a documentary to watch called The Sound of the Police on Hulu. Now, if you've seen it already, you know that it's very heavy against the police, right? So all the things I don't fully agree with, however, there's some good information, particularly in the beginning. In the beginning, they talk about the history and how law enforcement has been used by our country to really kind of be the bully and essentially create this unfortunate experience and trauma that has been passed down for generations through Black folks, right? They go all the way back into slave patrols and how that at each phase of history, slave patrols progressed to a different form of some type of oppression towards Black folks, whether it was Jim Crow laws, stop and frisk, all these different things. And they just show the history based on conversations that I have had with tons of people, especially Black folks, is that there has been past experience that has created this distrust. Now, secondly, negative media coverage. I can't tell you how many times I've asked someone what the perspective is regarding law enforcement, and they said, "Oh, it's bad. They're all shady, they're all racist, and they're corrupt." And then I asked them, "Okay, well, can you tell me about your experiences that has created this perspective?" And majority of the time, y'all, no one has a personal experience that has created this. Unfortunately, the media coverage does not do a good job of showing the great things and the good things that law enforcement does in the community. Unfortunately, media weighs very heavy on the drama because, let's be honest, that's what sells and they want you to tune in, right? Thirdly, I think the community distrusts law enforcement is because there's just a lack of understanding. I have had several conversations, and I even talked about it here on the show, where I have people ask me certain questions as to why officers do certain things. And when I break down the real reasons why we do it, and majority of the time it is a safety reason to protect us, our partners, and the community, most of the time I kind of get aside and I'm like, huh. And they say, I never thought about it that way. That makes sense. Right. And so I think just the lack of understanding creates that distrust. Oftentimes, when we don't understand something, we create our own meaning, our own truth to that. And so I think that is one of the things that happen as well that creates distrust between the community. Now, why is there a distrust with officers, right? Or why do officers have a distrust towards the community? One of the reasons I think, in my opinion, is why officers have a distrust toward community is false allegations. Y'all, I actually had a conversation with someone today. I was out to lunch. He was a total stranger. We were just talking, and he lived where I used to work. And in this particular place in LA, let me tell you, people were just complaint happy. Okay. It was like the thing to do. And the worst part was that the complaints were just not true. I myself have been accused of several things that were not true. And thank God for the body camera that showed the truth as to what happened and that I didn't actually do anything wrong, right? I think one of the reasons is that we are subject to lies and complaints. The second reason I think that law enforcement can have a distrust towards the communities they serve is the constant criticism. Now, when you start the academy, at least in our academy, they make it very clear to us that, hey, you're going to be criticized for everything you do, right? You know that phrase, you're dang if you do, dang if you don't, right? That is unfortunately something that we live by, but it still doesn't make it any less I don't know if hurtful is the way. I don't know if hurtful is the word, but it doesn't make it any less disappointing, right? When you come on this job with a desire to help people who are in need, only to find out that they don't like you or they disapprove of what you do, it creates this feeling of being devalued. It creates this feeling of being devalued that can also lead to that feeling of losing trust in the community that you serve. Okay, so those are some of the reasons why I think the community has distrust and why law enforcement can have distrust towards the actual community that they serve. I thought that was very interesting that he said that mutual distrust. What do you guys think? He had a lot more to say, and I want to share that with you guys, so let's get back to it.
In the community I grew up in, the demographics are changing. It was largely a predominantly black community, and now it's changing into a more Latin influence community. And I don't mean just those who have joined us from Mexico and immigrated here. I mean from all of Latin America. So it's a wonderful mixture. So now, because of that new dynamic, and I've been away from it. Like today, I was in the old neighborhood, went through Jordan down, saw how they tore down some of the projects, put up all the apartments. Trying to fix it up. Yeah, I mean, right? A new shop. They're doing a wonderful job. And the people who were there get to stay there. So that's the key, right? So that was wonderful. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. I'm going through there and I'm seeing that progress is being made, but I'm not in touch with the people who live there to know much about only my relatives are there, and I'm when I go in and visit. Right. I'm, I head back out. Okay. Because I don't live in LA anymore. Yeah. LA is where I come to enjoy. Right. And then you come and leave. You go and leave. I love LA. Hey, I'm the same way. Girl, I gotta tell you this. I used to come to LA and I'd always go by M&T Donuts it's M&T on 103rd and Compton Avenue. Okay. The donut shop. And they have another one over on the roads on Compton Boulevard or Central Road, whatever. Okay. Anyway, they have the best donuts, and I would go get a dozen of those donuts, and I'd eat 6 of them before I even got to the 605 freeway. And I told my doctor, I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm eating all these donuts. He told me that I was stressed. He said, when you go to LA, do you feel stressed?
Right, the tension.
Uh-huh. And he
The
said, when you
tension.
do, your body
Yes.
craves that sugar to kind of get
That's,
into.
you know what? That's interesting.
And that's why we ate donuts all
Yeah.
the time on patrol.
What, okay, what do you think that that stress, that tension came from? Was it from the, oh shoot, I'm in LAPD area and I
No, it
might
had
get, or
nothing to
was
do with
it
law
no?
enforcement. It
Okay.
had to do with my community members where I
Okay.
was going into the community. It
Okay.
had to be
Okay.
because I want to make sure I'm alert
Right.
and on point.
Because at that point they were just dangerous. Right?
Look, I grew up there, but I don't live there anymore. So
Yeah,
they
for a
don't
reason,
know
right?
me.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily for a reason. It's just how I know. What I
Okay.
mean is they don't know me.
Gotcha.
I didn't grow
Gotcha.
up with these young people,
Gotcha.
so they don't.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's no connection. And
Yes.
sometimes when you go back in the neighborhood, you need to have a connection. Like, I remember
Right.
me.
No, I'm such a
Yeah.
uncle. Right?
That's how I got to get out of here. That's the only way they know me is, oh, yeah.
That's
so
good. That is pretty good. I like.
exactly.
Okay. So, do you think the relationship between the police and the community, you think it's repairable?
Everything is repairable.
I agree.
Here's the biggest problem is that people think they have to fight to win.
Mhm.
The- When each side has to fight the other, and the only way to come to a conclusion is one win and one loses, then that fight will never end. You'll always fight. And so I don't believe in fighting. I believe in supporting something that I believe in. I believe that I can give my heart and my love and my energy to something that I believe in and work with others so that we can do this together. We have a common goal, a common thing. We don't need to fight. We're doing it. We really want the same.
Right?
You know,
We
different
do.
flavors,
I
different
agree.
perspectives, but we want the same thing. So
Yeah.
yes, this
Yeah.
is certainly
It's so
something.
repairable, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I feel the
Easily.
same way. I don't realize how close we are
Yeah.
on the value scale. We want the same things.
We do.
We just don't. We can't figure it out enough to listen to know it.
Okay, quick pause. I love what he said there. I love what he said. He says, we both feel the need to fight each other. And you know what? I agree with him. I agree with him. I oftentimes say that in order for us to really get some progress in improving this relationship between law enforcement and the community, we have to stop seeing it as a us versus them. And the us versus them falls on the responsibility of the community, thinking that they are the community versus the police. And the police have to not see it as us versus them, as in the police versus the community. Because we absolutely, and I mentioned in this video, we absolutely want the same things. I remember having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about everything that's going on. This was during kind of the George Floyd, just after the George Floyd situation. And she was expressing some of the concerns that she has as a mother of a black son. And I can tell you, I have a lot of friends and family who have those same deep concerns. And, you know, we're just kind of talking, this very respectful conversation. And she kind of just said, you know what? At the end of the day, we just want to feel and know that our lives are valuable. And by we, she meant black folks. And I completely understand how she felt. I completely understand how she felt. And so in that moment, I paused and I acknowledged her, I acknowledged her, and I expressed that I understand how she feels. And then I told her this. I said, what if I told you that as the police, we feel the same way? We want to know and believe that our lives are just as valuable as everyone else's. And that just because we are willing to die, we have been willing to take on this responsibility that could potentially result in our death. We want to know that our lives are just as valuable. And we both just kind of looked at each other, and she's like, I never thought about it like that. But I think it's important. We have to change this mindset and this idea of fighting each other. And if we can at least do something with that, if we can get that fixed, if we can work on removing that mindset and that thought process of us versus them versus us, we can probably make a little headway. All right, he has more to say. Let's get back to the conversation.
Well, keep in mind that the way that our society, in a way, is everything has its place. So the things that go wrong, we have a way to solve. Somebody commits crime, we have a place that we can set them aside. We're finding a way to be a little bit more balanced about it. As we start to see more and more that we don't have any reason to fight each other, because that we're saying that we really want the same things, and there's room enough in the world, in our country especially,
Yes.
and in the world in general.
For sure.
There's enough room for us all to live in, for us all to pursue that thing that makes us get up in the morning and smile and want to get out of bed and get started, and wish the same for everyone else.
Absolutely. I love that, Les. I absolutely love that. 'Cause I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
That's that idea. And I know I'm not.
you're
I know I'm
not.
not. It just has to get out there.
Well, the thing
right?
is, that's not a popular ideology right now.
You don't think so?
It is not in the mainstream media. Without controversy, without a fight,
Yes.
nobody's going to watch.
The media, exactly. Media
Nobody's
is
gonna
not
watch.
they're definitely not pro let's get along. 'Cause
No,
it doesn't sell.
that doesn't sell.
Pro doesn't get along doesn't sell. All right. And they're about ratings.
Until it does.
Yes.
Until it does.
You're right. Until it does.
And
They're
when
going to
it
go with
does,
what sells.
Yeah, see, just like the pendulum swings this
Yeah.
way, there
Yeah.
has to come a time when that perspective is allowed to flourish once again. People have lots of money. They don't have to worry. They're not going to lose their money. They're not going to do their position. We are all just going to join in that odyssey. Self-fulfillment, self-development, self-actualization.
That is awesome. Les, I appreciate you. Can I leave you with one encouragement? I think you're going to do it anyway because it seems like the type of man you are. Can I ask? And I'm going to take this to the point where I'm going to interview officers too. And I want to give them something to do, right? So that we can actually do something because we've been talking about all of this, but no one's doing anything now, right? It's good that we've moved to the talking phase.
Yes, you got
right?
Until it's a
You gotta get
conversation
there.
and you have a thought and an image about it. It's nothing to
And then it should transform into action.
Yeah, there it is.
Right?
And then it appears.
Exactly. So this is the action I want. I'm telling people who are not law enforcement. When you see an officer, just talk. Walk up to him, talk to him. Tell him thank you. You know what I mean? Because I think it's appreciated. I know when people say that to me. Yeah. When people say that to me, I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. Lets me know that you value what I'm doing. Yes. Right? And I think the same can be done for people in the community. Like when I was on patrol, I would just stop people, not stop them, but pull up. They look at me crazy because they're like, we didn't do nothing. I'm like, no, I just want to talk to you. What you doing? That's it. Literally, you just want to talk to me. I just want to talk to you. What you doing? What you got going on today, right? And so I'm going to encourage officers to do that as well, so we can
and they would need to make sure they do it in a way that disarms the listener.
Yes, don't walk up with your hand on your gun, right? Don't walk up like this. You feel me?
Yes,
walk up with a smile. What's up? Like, what?
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Right?
Yes.
All right. Les, I appreciate you.
I appreciate
All right. You have a good day.
I absolutely am. Okay.
Have a good night.
All right, so that was our conversation with Les. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, sir. I enjoyed the conversation. And I want to know what you all think. Do you guys think that there is a mutual distrust? Are you an officer? Are you a member of the community? Do you think that there is a mutual distrust? If so, let me know in the comments. Also, do you think that this relationship is repairable? Or is it far beyond repair? Or better yet, why do we feel the need to constantly fight each other? And why there is this idea, this mindset of us versus them versus us. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, go ahead and like it, share it, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. But most importantly, if you show me your human side, I'll show you mine. All right, y'all. Peace.